Fuck J.K. Rowling. Fuck J.K. Rowling. Trans rights are human rights. That's how
J.K. Rowling.
That's how I'm starting the podcast tonight. So I hope everybody's doing okay. I apparently need a fucking drink. Sorry about that, everybody. And everybody in the chat's like, hell yeah. Okay, there we go. So give us
a Poggers Derek for fuck J.K. Rowling.
What's that?
The Poggers Derek emote.
Oh yeah. Spam Derek in the chat for fuck J.K. Rowling.
There we go.
Yeah, please. Thank you very much for that. All right. So for anybody who is listening on podcast services tonight on the podcast, no Derek tonight. I'm running the stream. This is John, your game dad. Both of our social media gurus are here, Jeff and Finn. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, I'm the social media guy who doesn't use social media.
And I'm the social media guy that only exists to undo what Jeff posts.
Finn.
I like that there's always a civil war going on between our two posts.
Finn, well, like what I love about you two is that I can always tell who is tweeting what, because Jeff
because mine are funny.
I was going to say yours are more like chiding me, like kind of like John, please don't embarrass us. And Finn is very much like me, where whenever I mention Final Fantasy VI and I see the official chat go, yeah, or like I know it's Finn. So yeah, Justin is here too tonight. Justin, hello, sir.
Hello.
Hi, Justin. Justin,
how are you?
How are you doing? I don't know, Justin. I'm more concerned about how you doing. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Today's my day off, so
there's
chilling.
There's a lot of Derek spam happening in the chat right now. This is glorious, and we have a very, very, very special guest tonight. We've been bringing on SDGC community members, and Sarah has actually been a newer community member in SDGC. Please go check out our Discord, by the way. We got 300 people in there now. And this is actually Sarah's first ever live podcast. So yeah. Look at you. This is your first. How do you feel? Are you nervous?
Kind of.
Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous.
I have honestly never done these, and I'm so honored and grateful that you guys would have me here, especially to talk about something a day after what was the biggest PlayStation day of recent memory to me. So I'm extremely honored. And Blaine, I see you. Yes, my shirt has Todd Howard on it.
Yeah. No. I mean, you're gonna.
That's what that is. Oh my god.
Yeah, you're gonna fit right in. Oh,
kind of.
Oh, hey, Reb's in the chat. Hi, Reb. We miss you. All right, so we got a lot.
Who's Reb?
We got I don't know. She was some person she's been on the podcast once or twice.
I'm sorry. Do you mean Rebert?
Rebert. Yes, I absolutely meant Rebert. We got a lot.
Reb is just killing time until Sunshine releases.
Pretty much, yeah. She's
counting down.
She's got her Switch. Yeah. She's got her Switch on the kickstand over in the corner across the room, and she's just staring at it. Did someone say Sunshine? So there is a lot to talk about tonight, and normally we would talk about what we've been playing, but I feel like we need to we need to bypass that and get into all the PlayStation stuff, because there is a lot to talk about. But before we do that, Jeff, you had something that you wanted to say.
So my wife, actually, I told her about Steven Spawn and all the things that he does a few months ago. We've had him on the show before, obviously, and she follows him on Twitter now. And she actually notified me that he was doing this thing called Spawn Together. It's like a fundraiser for his 40th birthday. Basically, it just goes to charity and, helps disabled gamers, and just a really good initiative. So she wanted me to remind everyone that if you have the means, it would be wonderful if you could donate. I'm just going to throw the link in the Twitch chat here. Or if you can't, just spread the word, retweet. He's been tweeting it from his account, stuff like that. Because, Steve's one of the best dudes in the industry, and everything he's doing is so important. So that's all I wanted to say.
No, that's great. Excuse me. And, Steve, longtime friend of the podcast, a personal source of inspiration to me for a very long time. And, if you can donate, please do. If you can't, don't feel bad. I know that times are kind of difficult right now, but any kind of support is appreciated. I also Two more real quick housekeeping things before we get going here. I want to remind everybody that on Saturday from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I am going to be streaming in support of Spawn for Good, which is an initiative between us and Spawn on Me with Khalif and a few other podcasts as well. Greg from Kind of Funny is involved, and Mary Kish from Twitch. We are going to be streaming in support of getting people out there to vote this year, because right now, voting in this election is more important probably than any election that we've ever seen in all of our lifetimes. So get out there, vote, make your voice heard, and please check us out. This channel will actually have the streaming key for Spawn on Me, so we will be streaming on their channel. So please come check us out. And one more thing, Sarah, this is your first time, your first ever podcast. Why don't you tell everybody listening and watching live right now a little bit about yourself and how you I'm curious as to how you kind of found SDGC.
So I found you guys through the fact that you guys are so open about mental health and that in gaming, as that's a big thing with my life. I run a blog. It's called Out Here in This Open Space, where I do talk about mental health in gaming, because it's a big... I am a mental health sufferer, and I find games as a need to basically help find myself. So I found you guys through that. I followed you guys for a while. Sorry about that. And I found your Discord group, and I finally was just like, I should join another group, and I'm extremely happy. And I basically exist on the internet to scream about fictional men and scream about mental health as it's shown in video games. So I'm really not that interesting.
No, I think we really appreciate your presence in the SDGC community and your voice in the Discord. It's nice to see you in there so often, and you have fit right in with our little community, and so welcome. It is we who are honored to have you. And also to address Reb and chat, I sound so much better because I got a new mic and Derek helped me set it up. So
okay, so I lied. I said you had the same mic.
No. I got a brand new mic and a little mic stand here, and I got a mixer as well. Derek helped me fine tune it a little bit. I guess I sound better now, so that's good. So got a lot to talk about tonight, and Jeff is going to launch us into our first and fucking biggest topic, which is all things PlayStation. So Jeff, go ahead.
That's what he thinks. I'm actually going to do it.
No, Jeff is going to do it.
Go ahead.
No, Jeff.
Want to throw a wrench in your plan.
That's fine. I just roll with the punches. You want to do it? That's fine.
No, Jeff, talk about PlayStation.
I don't. I just want to throw a wrench in your plans.
Pain in my ass. So in case anyone didn't know, Sony had a presentation showcase yesterday.
Get out of town.
I know. Imagine that, talking about games and prices and dates for a console that's coming out in just over a month.
So
but
weird.
They did it. So we got information. We basically got more updates, mostly on existing games, gameplay demos, things like that. And then we eventually got a price and release date. I wanted to talk about the games before we get into like the release dates and the pre-orders and stuff. But before we even get into the games, I kind of wanted to start by getting addressing the elephant in the room, which is this was a weird presentation. It became weird shortly after it ended. So if you just watched the presentation, here's what you would think. Final Fantasy 16 is coming to PS5 and PC. Demon's Souls is coming to PS5, PS4, and PC. Miles Morales is PS5 exclusive, and Horizon 2, which wasn't present at the showcase, you would probably still think that's PS5 exclusive. Now, if you followed on Twitter the nightmare of updates in the subsequent hour, what you would realize is Final Fantasy 16 is actually not coming to PC, but it is potentially coming to PC after 6 months and Xbox after 12 months. Maybe. They won't actually say. Horizon 2 is coming to PS4. Demon's Souls is only going to be on PS5. That was an error. So the Demon's Souls and Final Fantasy trailer both had explicit slides that said also coming to PC. So nobody watches these trailers before they air, which is just fucking amazing to me. And Miles is also coming to PS4, which was not advertised in the showcase. So I'll just throw it to everyone else. I just kind of wanted to like, it was really confusing that so much information had to be dug for outside of it. But the games themselves look like fucking phenomenal. So obviously
they did, but I do want to say this. I don't know what it is with Jeff Keighley, but so why would you have this big, like, very elaborate bunch of games revealed? Like the conference itself was great. Like, for what it was great. But then you have Jeff Keighley on Twitter talking about release dates and pre-orders and whether or not something is exclusive. And I'm like, wait, hold on a minute. Like, why didn't you give us any of this during the actual presentation? Like, why?
Yeah, why does Jeff have it all?
Why does Jeff Keighley have all of this? It doesn't make
Well, I
any
thought we were
sense.
going to go through that after we talk about the games. We're getting way ahead of ourselves.
No, but I mean, I don't know. Like, it just really... There's a lot about this that rubbed me the wrong way. But if we're going to talk about games, let's start with Final Fantasy 16. Woo! Finally! Called it! I said that Final Fantasy 16 was going to be there, and it was, and it was the first game that was shown. What's up now? All you doubting Thomases...
You were right, John.
What's
you were
that?
finally right.
All you doubting Thomases who didn't believe that Final Fantasy 16 was going to be there. Although I will say I was hoping for a woman protagonist and I did not get one. So,
Hey,
I mean,
that we know of yet.
I mean, the main protagonist is another sad boy, but
I'm hoping
he is
for
a pretty sad boy.
he is a very pretty
He's a
sad
pretty
boy.
sad boy.
He is a very pretty sad boy. So
He looked like a Final Fantasy protagonist. It looked exactly like the dude they always show in the 14 trailers.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, like, well, somebody actually had a picture of the, like, generic vanilla Final Fantasy 14 protagonist, and then Noctis, and then this guy, and it's like, oh well,
it's the same person.
I'm sensing a motif here. But yeah, so obviously, this has been rumored for a long time. Final Fantasy 16. We finally got to see it. I'm really excited for it, but there's a few things in the trailer that stood out as odd to me. And I'll start off with one, and we'll let the group discuss it.
I'll let John start with the negative so I can swerve him and go constructive and happy. And
Well, no,
optimist,
dude, I have far more to say that's positive, but we got to talk about everything, right? So
not based
Just
on your
super
Twitter.
excited.
So-
Like that trailer made me cry.
Oh, no,
like,
I'm-
I was just like here for it. Like, I was watching the whole thing and I was like, this is 16. Because okay, John, now that I didn't believe it was going to be 16, I feel like the leak came super late. Like, people started talking about like 2 days early. They were like, okay,
yeah, all of a
16's going to be
sudden,
there.
well, I mean, like, there's been a lot of smoke around this one for a while now because it was supposed to be shown in June at E3. And of course,
Okay.
that never happened because E3 never happened. But now that we've seen it, one of the things that struck me was, and Finn, correct me if I'm wrong, but the colors seem really muted. Like it seems kind of drab.
I dig it. I dig it. It feels more like fantasy now for some reason because of that muted palette. Like,
Darker fantasy.
It does, and it's a look that hasn't been part of Final Fantasy in a long time. And also, there's just something about the fact that I forgot which one of us in the chat said it, but they said like it was almost refreshing. It was Maddie. He said it was refreshing that this game didn't come out with visuals that you knew were going to get downgraded. Like, this looked like the game would. The game.
It looks a lot like 15.
Better.
It does, yeah. Yeah,
It looks
I will
like
say
the
that.
game's actually only going to get better. Like, you're not going to look at it and be like, that's not how it's going to look at the end of the day.
You know what's weird?
know.
Like, from an aesthetic standpoint, like, it reminded me of two things: a 3D version of, or like basically Final Fantasy 3, Finn, not like the original 3. And then I got like some Witcher vibes from the villages and like, the mud, all the wet mud everywhere and the trees. Like, I did, and it was violent, like, for a Final Fantasy game. Like, this is fucking dark.
I doubt that's going to be T. That's not going to be T. If they're willing to show them literally stabbing somebody and like blood splattering, which I dug. I've been waiting. I've been waiting for a rated M Final Fantasy forever. Not just the violence, but I feel like Final Fantasy is that series that can go darker fantasy and just be scared to.
Give me
Type
original
Zero's
Final
the
Fantasy
only
tactics. Give me Final
Type
Fantasy tactics.
Type Zero is really sketchy on the rated M.
I actually
I've
thought
played it,
I thought
and
this
I'm
was
like,
I mean, I won't lie. I thought this was Evilise. Like when it first started, like I thought we might be getting another game in the Evilise alliance. But I don't think that's the case. But Justin, I want to bring you in here, man. You haven't said anything yet. Like what, what struck you? What jumped out at? What was the first thing that jumped out at you from the Final Fantasy 16 teaser?
So the thing that really jumped out to me from what I saw were the combat snippets, because it looks awesome. Like, it looks very action focused. Really cool, like spell and particle effects and stuff. And I found out after the lead combat designer worked on Devil May Cry 5 and Dragon's Dogma at Capcom, which is really cool because I think, Final Fantasy VII Remake did a great job, but like 15 and some of the other games in terms of like the actual real-time like action-based combat systems have been kind of hit or miss.
Yeah, I like
have had some good things.
I like 15's combat.
I don't mind 15's, but I don't think it's as good as it could be. So like there's been things that have been good about them, things that have been bad, kind of hit or miss. But like knowing that somebody with that kind of resume is in charge of this, and from the snippets that we saw, I'm really excited for that aspect of the game. It looks very fun to play.
Well, and that's something that I wanted to bring Jeff in here for, because I mean, as we know, Yoshi P is the one actually in charge of the game itself, and Yoshi P is also the man in charge of Final Fantasy 14, a game that he probably he saved that fucking game.
That saved 14 and turned it into one of the best stories of all.
It is literally, and as Jeff will attest, the narrative in 14 is top tier Final Fantasy. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was going to say just it's not really related, but I saw a clip just a few hours ago of Yoshi P. Someone was asking him if they would ever do like a classic version of 14, like the original pre-A Realm Reborn one, kind of like how WoW Classic did theirs. And before they even finished the question, he just started laughing hysterically. And then the translator posed the question, and he just shook his head. He's like, nightmare. It's like, no fucking way, that game sucks. Just like straight up just laughed it off. I thought that was hilarious. But no, yeah, like I trust that dude so much with this game. Obviously there's more than just the producer, there's writers and all that. It's it's going to be the sum of all its parts kind of thing, but I couldn't think of a better person to kind of entrust this franchise to.
And to loop it over to Sarah, one of the things that jumped out at me in the combat was the fact that it looks like, so we saw a few summon monsters that you saw Phoenix, Titan, Shiva, and as your main character, who I don't think we got his name, is fighting various enemies, it looks like he is actually integrating summons into his attacks. You see Phoenix's wings and what look like Titan's arms punching and grabbing. My question for you, Sarah, is we didn't see any other party members. Do you think this is going to be a one character completely action driven Final Fantasy game? Because it kind of gave me Dark Souls vibes in a way.
Yeah, so that was what I was actually worried about, was when they first showed the trailer. I was on Twitter and I was reading a lot of people going like, oh, this looks like Dark Souls combat, and a part of me just kind of went like, I'm like, that is not my thing. I appreciate the combat style. I think it's great that a lot of people like it, but I think integrating it into such a huge franchise as Final Fantasy, I don't want to say that it might not really kill it, but it might push a lot of people away from even attempting it. And like you guys mentioned, the fucking combat designer of Devil May Cry 5 is doing this. I don't think it's going to be like Dark Souls whatsoever. That just, from the way it looks like
once you get far.
Devil May Cry.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. Like
you go ahead.
I love Devil May Cry 5's combat a lot, so that instantly just boosted my excitement up for this. It was high, but learning he was doing it made it even higher, because I think Final Fantasy, when it does the real-time combat, it can do it right, and I think this is it attempting to do it right. I think there's still going to be party members, but a part of me thinks they're feeling so good about what they have so far that they're like, just show it. They're like, just show the combat, show cutscenes, like, because from what I got from that trailer, they're feeling hella good. They're like, look, we think we
it was It was a very
they
confident
got
trailer.
this.
It was a very
which
confident
is-
trailer.
Which is why I loved it as much as I did. And I think there's going to be party members. I have a feeling, like, I don't want to guess story stuff or anything, but I have a feeling that girl with white hair that was shown in the trailer, like the little girl, might become a party member later on, because it looks like the story's doing like skipping in time. So I have a feeling there is going to be party members, but I just think they're either they aren't done or they wanted to showcase the combat with just the main character, that they're like, just show it.
Well, and taking the concept of time, Finn, I know you've got your hand up. Did you want to talk about that a little bit? I
did.
Yeah, please.
It's my theory on why I don't think this is going to be just another boy band game, because I know people saw that initial campfire scene. They're like, oh no, it's going to be another group of 4 dudes. I don't think that's the case, especially like Sarah pointed out, we start with these 2 young kids, and then at the end of the trailer, the main character's face, whatever his name is, goes from being fresh-faced and boy band to like super grizzled and rough. So we know there's a time skip, and I think there's going to swerve us, and that those kids are going to grow up and become like the actual like characters, whether they join or. I think there's going to be more to this game than that initial trailer.
Are we? But okay. So are we positive that they're the same character? Are we positive they're the same character?
The character
sure.
at the end. That
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy. It looks like him.
It
older
says, I'm
and
gonna
also
kill
the
him. No,
voice.
yeah, it's the same character. He goes like, "I'll kill them no matter how long it takes," and then it like shifts. And
no, I thought he said no matter what it takes.
I thought he said no matter how long it takes.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I'll have
Either way, it's the same character.
Okay, well, so
also,
no, Sarah, please.
One more. I have a feeling that I think the kid's name was Joshua. I don't think he's going to be a party member, because it looks like he's the one that turns into Phoenix.
I agree with you.
And he said, "Oh, I'm Joshua's shield," and then it looks like the kid gets like ripped apart by Ifrit during that last cutscene. So I have a feeling that I think the game's going to revolve around him, and we're just going to be either something happens to him, either they just spoiled his death, like in the trailer, and this guy's all pissed. And he's going for it. But
so one thing I noticed, and after this, I'll kick it over to you, Jeff. So I saw you had your hand up. I got the sense of, there was a few hints in the trailer that they are, and should be no surprise because Yoshi P is the producer of the game. I said director earlier. He's actually the producer. I misspoke.
Yoshi, the P stands for producer, John.
Right. So it looks like there is a very, very Final Fantasy 14-esque mechanic here, in that it would appear, because, when Shiva is there, they mentioned Shiva's dominant. And then you see that Joshua kid turn into Phoenix. You see a man turn into Ifrit. It looks like summons are actually brought into the world by, I guess, possessing an individual's body and using that as a summoning vessel. Jeff, what do you think about that? Is that something you picked up on at all?
Yeah, I don't know how clear, I don't know how much of a connection there'll be there, but it is interesting because, like you said, that's the whole one of the main threads in 14, right? Is that the people summon these primals just through sheer conviction and the crystals and the energy and just the willpower and stuff. And there is precedent in that for them, or obviously Lady Iceheart, like actually taking the form of Shiva, right?
Yeah.
Even if not truly being a primal herself. So it's interesting. One other thing I was curious about, and maybe Justin's got input on this too, because I know he was a big fan of 7 Remake, is do we think there's going to be any elements of that combat system in here? Like, we've seen lots of real-time fighting in this trailer. Will we get some of that tactical mix?
I think this looks, at least from what we saw here, it looks more focused on like real-time reflexive combat. Mm-hmm. Like, there were air juggles and combos and stuff like.
It reminded me of it reminded me of 13 in a way, Justin, with the air combos and stuff like that, the juggling.
Yeah, no, like I think it's going to be a very different approach than 7 Remake, which is really cool. I think I loved 7 Remake's approach.
Me too.
But this looks different, and I think this could also be really good and really fun. And I think I don't really have much. I couldn't really take much from the trailer aside from combat stuff. I didn't analyze it as much as you guys have.
I've watched it like 30 times now.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, obviously you guys know I love the series, and I'm gonna get it when it comes out. But like that was the stuff that really stood out to me, and like this really looks like I think like the blend of kind of like dark fantasy with this like dark Western fantasy, kind of blended with this very flashy like Japanese action style could be really cool and really unique.
God, that
if it pans out.
That take on the prelude in the trailer
again, but it's
it
just
gave me
like,
kind of Kingsglaive.
Oh,
I don't know if any of you watched the Kingsglaive.
Oh, I did. Yeah,
film.
absolutely.
It gave me kind of just seeing his like the like party members at the beginning, the people who are obviously going to die in terrible ways during that fight. it like and just like the armor, and yeah, it looks a lot like Western fantasy, but it gave me that Kingsglaive vibe where they're soldiers, but they also are kind of like army men, kind of.
Yeah,
because their armor doesn't look fantasy to me. It looks almost like a mixture of what Kingsglaive was doing to what 14 was doing. I didn't play much of 14, but I got that vibe from seeing it. And also Kingsglaive was kind of violent too. And I got like I'm just honestly excited that Final Fantasy's biting that bullet and probably going for that M, because I've been waiting for a long time for it to be actual violent dark fantasy. And I expect it to actually be pretty okay. But Justin, you actually gave me a good thing. Where's Remake 2? Like, when is Remake 2
we're not
coming out?
We're not seeing that for a while.
Yeah, yo,
we're not seeing that for we're not seeing that for a while.
Actually, speaking of not seeing things for a while, here's one last question for Final Fantasy 16, and then we'll move on. And I'll toss it to Finn first. The rumor was before this came out, before we saw the trailer, was that this game was further into development than people thought it was, or than people had expected it was. And the trailer we got was fairly well developed and pretty meaty. And I know that we're going to be getting more information in early 2021. My question is, when do we actually see this game? I all jokes about Square Enix aside, I don't think it's going to take 5-6 years for this game to come out.
We're not working on it.
Yeah. So
my
well, hold on. I want to kick this one to Finn.
Are we going to go around? Are we going to go around?
Yeah.
Okay.
Finn, go ahead, bud.
No, sorry. Justin doesn't get to answer this question. It's a shame, but sometimes that's just how it goes. I think holiday 2021 will be their initial release date, and then realistically delayed till April 2022.
But you don't think it goes past that? Like,
I don't. It's like you said. I don't think it's. We've heard it's been in development for a while, and that it's further along than we would assume with Square Enix doing their initial announce to release window. I think they wanted to start avoiding that, and also, like has been mentioned before, Yoshi P is not Mr. Kingdom Hearts Final Fantasy 15 guy.
He gets shit out there. So
we know it's not going to be a bloated game. It's not going to be kind of run off the rails. I feel like Yoshi P came in with a very strong vision, because that's what he does, and he is brought on board. He's the fixer. He's Square Enix's fixer. So I feel like we're not going to have a super long dev cycle. I hope. I mean, shout out to Derek in chat.
I had been told, hey Derek, we love you, buddy. I had been told that it's been in development for about 2.5 years now, which sounds right. Justin, quick take on when you think we're going to see this.
I think like first half of 2022 seems like a reasonable guess. I'm not going to get my hopes up for 2021.
Yeah.
Because also, I mean, on top of it, like, even if it is farther in development than we know, it kind of seems like a lot of Japanese studios were hit harder by COVID, work from home conditions and stuff than a lot of other studios. We know Square Enix is very much kind of an old way of doing things studio. So, I mean, even if it was in an advanced stage of development, by Square Enix standards, that could have hold it up a bit longer. So I don't think we see it next year, but I think, probably like a year and a half from, announcement to release is pretty good by Square Enix standards for a Final Fantasy game, especially a numbered one.
Jeff.
It's kind of unfair because I saw a tweet from Jason Schreier basically just discussing all of this. So like I have already, I'm not going to argue with him. But he basically reinforced what you guys said. He figures early 2022. That seems reasonable. I think, this is definitely, I can't remember the last time a reveal trailer, pretty much for any game, let alone a Final Fantasy game, like you said, felt this confident, felt meaty. We got story beats. We got a realistic look at the visuals. We got a realistic look at the combat. Didn't feel like bullshit. So I think, we'll get like a, big presentation of it next E3. And then I wouldn't be surprised if it's out either shortly before the following E3 or right around that next time, like early 2022, maybe slipping into summer and stuff like that. Yeah.
And Sarah, what about you?
So I'm actually going to go against everybody else. I think end of the year 2021, mostly because the one thing that stood out for me in that trailer was it was all in English. They actually got, and again,
that's
I don't know
a really
if this
good
is just
point.
voice acting that they got done for just that scene, but as a Kingdom Hearts fan, a lot of Kingdom Hearts people know that English voice acting starts pretty much close to the game being done.
That's true.
And again, Nomura's not working on this, thank God. No offense. But I feel like if they're confident enough to have the English voice acting already in there and implemented into cutscenes, I feel like we're closer to it than, again, like people were saying, that we think we are to it. And for them to be so confident as to show off stuff like John said, story beats, combat, voice acting, like full-on cutscenes, I feel like we're getting this end of 2021. I think it could be delayed, maybe to like polish up a last few combat things because of COVID. But I also think that we're going to get this pretty soon, and it would be absolutely bonkers if this launches by the end of 2021. Not just because I want it to, but I think, again, we are closer to it than we think we are. And I think that small thing of just English voice acting in the trailer definitely pointed that out to me. Because even I was like, oh my God, this is in English. Like all of this.
I don't even think I realized that.
I hadn't even considered that.
Actually, I didn't even think about it, but you're right.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
That's a really good point.
To it, which just excites me just more because I really want this.
So I you know what? I'm actually gonna align myself with Sarah on this one. I'm
Oh, you cheater.
Well, so let me caveat that. It's for me, like, it's really going to depend on how much we see in early 2021, because that's when they said that they're gonna give us more information. Now, if we get a big Finn, do you remember that big deep dive? It was earlier this year. Oh, I'm sorry, it was at PAX West last year. It was around the time of PAX West. We got a huge deep dive into Final Fantasy VII Remake. They were talking about, they showed the combat, and all the tactical battle system. If we get something like that in the first half of 2021, maybe the first 3 or 4 months, then I think it's probably coming out end of 2021. If we don't, then early 2022. But I think 2021 is reasonable for this. But again, like, I think that's going to depend on how much we actually know about the title in the next 6 months.
Do we know if we might get anything small at Tokyo Game Show?
I don't think so.
Maybe like another, or else they just rehash the trailer and add in like a couple more small.
I don't think so. They might air the trailer in Japanese, but they've specifically said more information in 2021. So I don't think they'd go out of their way to then.
I agree. Finn.
That's my take.
I agree.
Okay.
Right. Well, we're still on the first game.
Yeah, we need to get this shit going. Hey, I'll talk about Final Fantasy.
It is the biggest new game.
I would say it is. I would say it's the biggest new game. Yeah,
that was what won that conference to me 100%. As soon as I saw that, I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
Jeff, did you want to?
We knew we were going to talk about Final Fantasy.
We did.
For a long time.
Yeah.
Jeff,
so
what's
that's
next?
Final Fantasy VI.
So Final Fantasy VI is the story of Terra, who is I'm just kidding. Jeff,
you know what? I will say that Final Fantasy 16 has to be good because it has 6 in the name.
That's very true. That's very true. But it also has 10 in the name, and 10 is not one of my favorites. But Jeff, what's next on the docket?
I mean, we don't. Do we want to go through every game? I think we just kind of touch on the big ones. We can talk about Miles. They started off.
Miles is next. Miles is going to be one we're talking about.
I love their take on the Tinkerer. That is so fucking cool. And
especially
also,
because the Tinkerer used to be just an old dude.
Just an old dude. Also, by the way, I am pretty sure that that's Yuri.
Yes.
I think it was. The voice sounded almost the same. And she went rogue from the police force in the DLC. So I'm reasonably certain that's who that is.
I'm pretty sure Tinkerer is Yuri. But what's interesting about that, and Finn, especially for you, since you're another big comic book guy, is like you said, Tinkerer is traditionally like not what you would call a combatant. One, Tinkerer is a woman here, which I think is really fucking cool. Two, they gave her a dope fucking suit. That shit looks awesome. And three, she's fucking mixing it up. Like, I've never seen the Tinkerer actually physically mix it up with anybody. Finn, what was your takeaway from that?
My takeaway as a whole is that it looks incredible. Like, Spider-Man already is one of my favorite games, especially favorite comic book based games. One of my favorite games on the PlayStation. And then you're gonna add all of Miles's crazy like specialties, the spider shock or the venom shock,
the venom shock,
camouflage, and all the ways that played off. And also making Tinkerer the bad guy means your enemies have really inventive weapons.
I don't know that Tinkerer is going to be the main bad guy, though.
Probably not, because if anything we learned from Spider-Man, it's that they're going to lead us with the first half, Act 1, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But I still like the concept, and they're even bringing in more obscure aspects of Marvel, like Roxxon's playing a big part in this game, and that's actually less of a Spider-Man and more of a Thor evil corporation.
Well, but like you've also got Molten Man who worked for Roxxon, so
I'm all about it.
Jeff, in regards to Miles Morales, what impressed you most about the very, very impressive combat abilities we saw on display with Miles?
It's been a hot minute since I played the PS4 one, but I think it's tough with something like this. It's not just the same world; it's literally the same. He's still Spider-Man. Like, it's really hard not to make Miles feel like a skin swap. And I think they, at least based on the trailer, they did a good job of making those abilities seem really unique and really. It's hard to say without playing it, but I really got a sense from that. Like, this isn't just like a different looking Spider-Man. Like, he actually is going to play different, and you're going to be, engaging in those encounters and stuff differently. I do have small concerns about the game. I hope that the campaign length is sufficient to do Miles justice.
Right.
I'm presuming they're going to go back to Peter.
For sure. Yeah, they will.
For the sequel. So, like, if that wasn't the case, then I'd be like, okay, whatever. But just the little bit of a budget price on the product, and the fact, I didn't know this. I don't know if this was news. Apparently, this comes with a full remastered version of the PS4 game.
It's in there's like a deluxe edition.
There's an ultimate edition
of it,
yeah.
that has that in there. Like, I think it's a download.
But was that announced before this? Like,
it was announced after it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I missed that part.
One more. Hey, there's a lot of things people missed about this conference. I'll kick it over to Sarah and then Justin. Something that Jeff had mentioned, Sarah, is the fact that we don't know exactly how meaty this game is going to be, and at $49.99 as opposed to a full price game, I get the sense that this is kind of like an extended campaign DLC kind of like maybe longer than bigger than a DLC, but not quite as big as a regular game. And
Insomniac has outright said that it's like comparable to like Uncharted Lost Legacy.
Okay. So
by itself is the same length. Ended up being the same length as pretty much standard Uncharted.
I don't know. I thought Uncharted Lost Legacy was kind of short, but
it was like 6 to 7 hours, which is the same as 1 through 3. It's only Uncharted 4 that's like up there, like 15, like The Last of Us.
But so. I guess what I'm wondering, Sarah, is were you hoping for something a bit meatier in Miles Morales' kind of big PlayStation debut?
Yeah, so I feel bad. I'm the wrong person to ask. I did not play the PS4 Spider-Man. I don't like Spider-Man as a character. I think he's kind of boring. So I didn't play it.
Well, that's it for Sarah on this podcast.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I like Miles, though. I like Miles as a character way better than I like Peter. So I'm definitely interested in this one a lot more. But to me, from what the Miles Morales game is kind of reminding me of was that old like PlayStation 3 infamous like vampire title, the one that had its own like single player campaign to it.
Yes,
because
Festival of Blood.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, I remember that shit. Yeah.
Listen, hear me out. Because when they announced how much PlayStation 5 games would be, they said they would vary from $50 to $70. And if this one's at $50 for just the base Miles game, I'm not expecting it to be like from what I heard from as long as the original Spider-Man was. I may be expecting it to be not exactly half of that, but like you guys mentioned how long Uncharted Lost Legacy was. I'm at least hoping that they do Miles justice. From what I know about his character, they better, especially if they're making him like the star of his own game, unless they do the dumb thing of like having the notion that people already know who Miles is and like all of his background stuff before jumping into it, which I highly doubt that. I just think if they make it any more shorter, I think that would be a detriment on it, especially if they want to show off what the PS5 can do. Putting it in like a 6 or 7 hour campaign isn't exactly like, yeah, it's gonna do it, but it's gonna be like, oh, I beat this in like a day or two, depending on how long that you play for. And then how much of the open world do you have after? Like, is it the whole open world as it was in Spider-Man?
I'm sure we'll probably get the entire city of New York, I would imagine.
So, yeah.
Justin, I got a question for you about Miles Morales. If there was, and this is something that I've been poring over in my head since yesterday, is, I love what they've done with the Tinkerer. We know that is come on, that's not the only villain in the game. Is there a particular Spider-Man bad guy that you want to see represented here? Because they've done some really cool things with some of the villains.
That's actually something that I'm very curious about, because like, are they gonna try to work Prowler in? Because Prowler is, Miles' big, is like uncle. A big one for Miles. I was actually surprised because I remember when we saw like kind of the snippets of like the purple neon enemies and stuff in the first trailer, I thought they were kind of taking, Prowler with a similar visual approach.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be Prowler.
To like Spider-Verse. And so I'm really interested to see, because I think, I don't know, I actually do kind of like that this is kind of an interstitial game, because you want to do Miles' like origin story and him learning how to be Spider-Man. But like, I feel like for what people would want from like Spider-Man 2, that would kind of take from it. And this way you could kind of go back and forth between an established Peter and an established Miles in the next game, which would be really, really cool, especially with some of the villains they set up that I do not think will be in Miles. I think they're going to save those for later.
You talk about you're talking about like the really heavy hitters like Mysterio and Sandman and the Goblin.
Well, I mean, there's the two that they pretty explicitly set up. So I actually don't know, which is why I'm excited to play it, because I really like how Insomniac has kind of remixed a lot of these characters, they're true to the roots of the characters while also being a unique take on it. I really like what Insomniac did with the first game. I'm super excited for this game. And I just wanted to mention that in this trailer, I love the animation work.
Oh, it's so good.
Miles seems to have kind of a different way of movement about him. Like, he's still clearly, Spider-Man, but he does seem to kind of move differently than Peter does, which I think is really, really cool.
Well, it's like,
I'm super excited for this game. I love Miles. Like, I'm really glad we're getting a Miles-led game. I don't know. I'm just excited.
Well, no, it's like Jeff said, right? Like, I think it was, maybe I'm wrong. I think it was Jeff who mentioned the fact that his combat looks different. They were able to kind of make a distinction between him and Peter. It doesn't look like they just took Peter Parker's moveset and added some different webbing, which is what I was afraid they were going to do. Excuse me. Miles very much looks like he has his own unique fighting style. Finn, you got your hand up. Finn, you are muted.
Finn, you're muted.
I was doing typing and I didn't want to get in people's way. All right. So I don't know if I'm the only one that read the Spider-Man PS4 Marvel comic, but there is a villain introduced in that. It's kind of like a more minor Spider-Man villain, but it's already gotten a confirmed Insomniac redesign. It's a character called Swarm, who uses a bunch of bees and hornet powers. So I want to see Swarm as a minor villain, because when's the last time you're going to see Swarm? Also, let's bring Hydro Man back and Captain Boomerang. Bring in Captain Boomerang.
I want Stilt Man. Give me motherfucking Stilt Man. Stilt Man needs his time to shine.
Stilt Man can only show up if Daredevil shows up as a cameo.
In all seriousness,
that's how they would get me, is if they bring in Daredevil. In all honestly, in like Spider-Man 2, if they show that like reveal trailer, then they do that like after the logo thing, and fucking Daredevil shows up, you would have me interested. I would be interested in playing a Spider-Man game.
So like what I would really want to see is one of the things I loved about the first Spider-Man game was the fact that we saw Mr. Negative, right? Who Martin Lee is a really, really cool villain, and he's been around for about a decade now, but comparative to like, Green Goblin and Mysterio and Kraven, like he's new. He hasn't been around anywhere near as long as they have. I would like to see this game bring in newer, cooler villains. Like Morlun, for example, is a great Spider-Man villain, and he's almost killed Peter Parker numerous times. I think Morlun would have Morbius would. He's an older one, but you don't really get to see Morbius in video games very much.
Got to do the movie tie-in,
right? Yeah, you got to do the movie tie-in.
Also, he's not really a villain
No, he's more of an anti.
Marvel's been marketing him as like a weird vampire anti-hero, which I would be down for seeing.
I mean, that's kind of what he is in the comic books now, anyway. He's but
I would be down for seeing Insomniac.
Yeah, absolutely. So did anybody have anything else they wanted to talk about with Miles Morales before we moved on?
We should get to Demon Souls next.
Yeah, I was gonna say we got to go to Demon Souls because that demo was.
Oh, it looks, and it's a launch game.
But why? We've already played it.
Can I actually start the conversation on this one? Which is why I was so impressed with it. So I didn't get a chance to watch it till later, and so I actually got to watch the actual 60 FPS trailer. This game's going to have 2 modes, and so I was kind of shocked that they showed off the performance mode, not the big graphics mode. There's a version that is going to look better than this that you can play on your PS5, which is cool. But it was and it was a real 60 FPS mode. It wasn't just uncapped. And I'm not a huge fan of the From games. I played a little bit of Demon Souls. I kind of ended up giving it up after a few hours. Bloodborne is the only other one I played. I did fully complete Bloodborne. I got the true ending and stuff. So I did complete that, but just from watching this, the audio design and the animations on top of just the incredible amount of detail and just thick atmosphere.
The animations are insanely good. Those stood out to me.
From themselves is not going to release a game that looks this good this generation.
No.
I don't
Jesus,
think.
No.
This was honestly I think this is the most impressive next gen footage that we have seen.
I agree. It had 100%.
Somebody timed the load time transitions, and they were 0.8 seconds. And those were long on PS3. And it looks like this, it runs like this. Honestly, the quick load times too, I think I'm going to be much more willing to put up with kind of the weird idiosyncrasies of Demon Souls, because hey, I can get back in the fight real quick if I mess up. It's gonna feel better to control the character. I mean, it looks amazing.
I'll tell you what, though.
See what's around the next corner.
I'll tell you what, though, Justin. A lot of people did not play. Far more people have played the Dark Souls games than they did Demon Souls. Mm-hmm. Demon Souls is harder than all the Dark Souls games, and people are in for a rude fucking awakening when they boot this one up for the first time. Demon Souls, the Flame Lurker, the Flame Lurker is one of the hardest bosses in or King Allant. Old King Allant is one of the. I mean, people are not fucking ready for how difficult this game is. Jeff,
John, I hate to do this. I hate to bring up this discourse again, but you just made me think of it. do we A, think this is going to be a little bit easier, or B, do we think it's going to have difficulty settings?
I hope it has difficulty settings.
Please, please have difficulty
I hope it
settings.
does too. Do we think it will?
No, I don't.
I think it will.
They've
I
said
don't
there
think it
are
will.
going to be some new modes.
Okay.
And, I mean, it could have just been for trailer purposes, but the player was doing more damage than typical for even that tutorial area in the video that we saw. So, who knows?
I would love to see difficulty settings just because ableism, or it sucks, gatekeeping sucks, and everybody should be able to play and enjoy these games. This is somebody who is a massive Souls fan. That being said, like, apart from some balancing, I think you'll see some balancing, but unfortunately, I don't think they are going to actually institute difficulty or different tiers of difficulty in Demon Souls. So as much as I would like to see that, I don't think that's going to happen.
Going to it would be Blue Point, because I don't trust From to do it, but Blue Point might.
But also, I mean, From is going to have a large amount of input into what goes. I mean, it's a From Software game. It's just it's being remade by Blue Point, but I guarantee you, there's been a lot of left seat, right seat going on for this one.
From is actually not listed on any of the development stuff. It's Japan Studio, Sony Japan Studio, and Blue Point.
Yeah, but I mean, I refuse to believe that Miyazaki hasn't had a big hand in this. I don't see that happening. Having said that, like I said, I hope there are difficulty tiers instituted into this new remake of Demon Souls. I don't care how many people it pisses off. Like, let people play. I don't see the big fucking deal. But and it was Steven Spahn who made me realize that, actually. So, shout out to Steven. Sarah, you look like you had something to say.
Yeah. So one, after this, if it's okay, I want to go into the Resident Evil 8 trailer a tiny bit.
Sure.
Yes.
Please, I would like to discuss that. And the lack of Silent Hill, but that's something else. I hate how interesting the new Demon Souls looks to me, because I played that game when I was way too young to understand like that kind of difficulty, and it pissed me off after dying constantly that I just never touched it again. And I hate how just damn beautiful and interesting this remake looks with the 3D audio that was hitting me, like, just, and it's gonna sound dumb, but just hearing the creaks in the wood as the person was running over
that doesn't sound dumb at all. That's immersion.
Like it shook, like it kind of gave me goosebumps, like being able to hear all of the like hitting of the shield hitting yours, like that hit me to a point where I literally looked at my screen and I'm like, this is next gen. I'm like, this looks next gen, it sounds next gen, it probably plays next gen. Yes. And I know I'm not going to get difficulty options, and that's fine, but at least give me, like Justin mentioned, give me different modes. Maybe give me a mode where I start off with my stats being a little bit higher. Maybe give me a mode where enemies deal like less damage, but doesn't change the difficulty of it. Like, give me a chance to play this without wanting to pick up my PlayStation 5 and throw it out my window because I keep dying.
That's the Souls experience. That's the crux of the whole Souls
experience. I don't want that experience.
Justin, go ahead, bud.
So, sorry, I just kind of wanted to bounce off that, but the 3D audio thing is something I've been thinking about a lot. I know people have had some accessibility concerns when talking about like haptic feedback and resistance and stuff on the DualSense. But another thing Sony has talked about is this 3D audio and haptics being used kind of as, instead of like Miles, they said, instead of having on-screen triggers for like when an enemy attack is coming, you're also going to feel spider sense in the controller from the direction they're coming from. You're also going to hear it. And for people that might, for me, I love that stuff just for general immersion and stuff. But like, I think some of that stuff could also be really cool for like people that are hard of hearing to have a physical input. People that, can't see as well to have that kind of input for playing some of these games. And I think Demon Souls is actually a great example of that, because like being able to hear and tell that there's like an enemy around the corner will make the game like way easier for a lot of people. Even if like, you know, you're not somebody who is struggling with accessibility normally. I'm really interested, and unfortunately due to COVID, we haven't had too many like hands-on impressions of things like that because there's just no safe way to do it. But I'm really kind of excited to hear about how that stuff is and experience it for myself.
Jeff, did you have your hand up, or was I mistaken?
No, I was gonna say we got a lot to get to.
Yeah,
still. We should go to RE8 soon. Does Finn have anything on Demon Souls?
Nope.
Well,
Do you have any opinion on Souls games at all, Finn?
Nope.
I Demon Souls was my first one. I was one of the only people to grab that collector's edition when it popped up.
Oh wow.
I was like, this looks cool. So I still have it with the little strategy guide built into the game case. So, I mean, I've been playing them for a while. I'm just not as huge into them like John. So I saw this and I was like, cool, I'm going to get it. And that's where it ended.
Finn is solid. Finn is a man of honesty. Do you guys want to let Sarah kick the RE8 section off?
Go for it.
Sarah, why don't you why don't you bring us into Resident Evil 8?
Okay, so the trailer that they showed at the PlayStation conference, you can argue it didn't have much story stuff to it. It was just showing you like, oh hey, what are you fighting? The little bit of story background to it. Don't get me started on the fan theory that Leon is one of Chris's crazy like conspirators, because that's a thing that's going around now. And whatever. So the one thing I'm very interested in is the trailer basically confirmed the fan theory that they're going with, I don't know if anyone remembers Resident Evil 3.5. It was that original 4 demo that they showed at E3 way back in the early 2000s with the whole haunted house and the like suits of armor and stuff. It looks like they're going that direction, and holy fuck if they can pull this off with making this a mainline Resident Evil title and adding like zombie werewolves and bringing back the fucking merchant at the end. Like that guy people think is the merchant from Resident Evil 4. And I am all here for not forgetting that Resident Evil 4 exists. Exactly. I am just, sorry, my like brain is all over the place, but it's just because the fact that Capcom is going way back to what 3.5 was. Ooh, shiny box. Sorry, guys.
Ooh, nice, Jeff.
The fact that Capcom's going back to what 3.5 was, and actually saying, hey, we're not afraid to use some of this stuff. It looks like there's a cult in it. It looks like that the werewolves can carry weapons, that it's not like they're just coming at you. Like
very Resident Evil, like the whole thing, it just gives me massive Resident Evil 4 vibes, like from top to bottom.
Yeah, and again, I'm not going to go into the fan theories where this is the village from like 4 or this is related to 4. And plus Capcom's saying it's not Resident Evil 8. They're saying it's Resident Evil Village. 8's in the title.
That's so weird.
That
is so weird.
It's extremely weird because like Capcom has come out and actually corrected like articles from like companies, and they say, hey, it's not Resident Evil 8. It's Resident Evil Village.
I'll just, you know, on the subject of Resident Evil, I'll go ahead and tell you real quick that I one time went through a Burger King drive-thru and went up to I was actually in the Marine Corps when I did this, and they said, hello, Burger King, can I take your order? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, what are you selling? No. And they were like, pardon? And I made my order, and I went up to take it, and I went, thank you. And I think I scared the shit out of the poor, out of the
people. Please don't do this to the people.
Please don't bother.
I was 21 years old. I was a stupid ass Lance Corporal.
It turns out that that's the origin of the "Sir, this is a Wendy's."
Yeah, absolutely. That's where. So
I actually want to throw this out. Please. To you guys, because there's a lot of people going around who are saying like, oh, I don't get why Resident Evil is having like werewolves in it. I don't get werewolves. I keep calling them werewolves when they're just weird zombies with a bunch of hair. I don't know. But I don't know how you guys are. Obviously, look at my Discord username. I don't know how deep you guys are into Resident Evil, but when you first saw those, were you into it? Did you think that? Were you excited that you got?
I want to hear Justin.
Yeah, Justin, go ahead, bud.
I'm so into this take. Like, I mean, Resident Evil is such like a weird wide franchise with so many things. Fuck it, throw all that shit in. Who cares? Like, you can explain all of it with Umbrella stuff. Like, It looks really cool. I'm glad we're getting another first-person Resident Evil. I really liked 7, but I know a lot of the fan base reacted kind of negatively to there being a first-person perspective.
Same.
And then, especially after the reception of like Resident Evil 2, I wasn't sure that we'd get another one. I'm really excited we're getting another one. I'm trying to go through all of my thoughts really quick. But like one thing I also want to mention about it, on top of just loving the vibe and look of this game, is there's a point I rewatched it actually just like about an hour before we went live. There's a section of the trailer that's almost like Tim Burton animation.
Yeah. It reminded me of Coraline.
Yeah, and it's super cool and super unexpected for Resident Evil. And on top of the setting and the other creatures and stuff, I really hope they double down on there being a lot of different stuff in this game for the series. I'm super into what they've shown, and I'm glad they kind of haven't given too much away of it. I really just want to, experience it in game. So I'm super excited for RE8 or Village, I guess.
So as far as I go for Resident Evil 8, I'm calling it 8. I don't give a fuck what Capcom says. It's Resident Evil 8. I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, I remember hearing somewhere that hallucinations and psychosis are going to be a large factor in this game because of the new virus that is present in the game. So like a lot of the
I don't think I've heard that one.
And the reason they said that, there's going to be, you remember how Resident Evil 4 had the Hookman and there was going to be a lot of paranormal shit going on?
Yeah.
There's going to be some of that here, and it'll be explained away with, Ethan getting infected, and there's like,
again.
And he's seeing shit and he's hallucinating, and that will explain some of the paranormal stuff. No, I don't think those are actually werewolves. I think they're just, they're just mutated humans. Although I will say, I'm super fucking curious as to who that Van Helsing motherfucker is. Because I was like, okay, that is a little on the nose. Like, that motherfucker that's Van Helsing. I'm sorry, that's Dr. Van Helsing.
If you want to know, the fan theory is that Lewis in Resident Evil 4, that he faked his own death and that it's him.
I saw him get stabbed through the chest.
That's the crazy Resident Evil fan theory that's going around. He's in this game.
John, when has that meant anything in this series?
No, that's not Luis Serra. Come on, it's not Luis Serra. Although
it just occurred to me that we're talking about Resident Evil, and I forgot Sarah's username is Chris Redfield's sweet ass. I feel like we need to address.
We do, yeah. So, but I mean,
I will take no questions.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Is she wrong?
Thank you.
I mean,
I don't know that I've seen his ass rendered in like modern game visual
Well, guess what? You're gonna get to see it in first person, next gen, ray trace,
like the curvature,
60 FPS.
You're gonna see, you're gonna see the curvature of his sweet ass in the long shadows of the magic hour in first person. In Resident Evil 8, like, dude, as a straight man, Chris Redfield's got a nice ass. Like, I'm not even gonna fuck around. Like, this shit is sculpted and toned. Like, it's not bad at all.
Plus, it's the one thing about him that has not changed in about 4 games.
Right? Yeah. Well, and so speaking of Chris Redfield, let's talk about the other big elephant in the room with Resident Evil 8, which is evil Chris Redfield.
I don't think so.
Who straight up murders Mia right in front of Ethan, and so Justin, you look like you've got something to say about this. Okay.
The thing that's so funny is like they used a character that died 4 times in the last game and came back, like getting killed as like the thing that Chris is evil, and it's like you killed her twice in the tutorial of Resident Evil 7. She's gonna be fine. And also, like, it's pretty clear that she's not really a good guy in the scheme of things in Resident Evil from 7. So, like, it's so obvious she's gonna come back, and that there's gonna be a whole lot more to that.
I want to comment on something I saw. It was Sam, I think, who said, "Sorry, Ethan, Leon failed me. The Redfield bloodline is on your shoulders now." Sarah, why don't you go ahead and give us a take on evil Chris Redfield?
So I'm not going to go into plot details because everyone needs to play Resident Evil. In the recent games, he's been not trusting of his own government for like a while, especially with like one of his own organizations that he founded basically getting corrupted from the inside out. Chris hasn't been trusting of people for like 4 games. Honestly, I don't think he's evil. I think he's just finally snapped to an extent where he's like, okay, if they're not going to get shit done, then I'm going to get it done. So I don't exactly think that he's evil. I just think that this is what Ethan sees, and this is what the game's showing us. Like, oh, he's going to bust in, he's going to knock Ethan out, and he's going to shoot his wife straight in the face. Because, like Justin said, Mia was hinted at working with the evil people from the beginning of Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
Like, we're not supposed to trust her. So obviously Chris has a vendetta. He wants to get that shit out. Ethan and us find him evil, but I don't think that's what's going on. I think Capcom's going to pull something on
I'm
us
sure you're probably right.
and be like, oh, hey, he was actually the good guy like he's been this entire series.
You know what? I'm just looking forward to the discourse about who's got the better ass, Bruce Banner or Chris Redfield. Like that's the real discussion that we need to have in 2021.
There is no discourse, John. There is none. I'm not even going to fight over this. There is none.
So as far as other PlayStation stuff goes, Jeff, go ahead.
There's one more game worth mentioning.
I really want us to get to the direct stuff. The Monster Hunter news is pretty big. So I was going to say, do we even want to touch on the pre-order stuff? Justin, what was the other game you were gonna mention?
The God of War announcement?
Yeah, we should talk about.
Yeah,
okay.
so
yay, more God of War.
I mean, you know, like I love
about that.
But that's the thing. Like, what's there to really talk about? Like, we saw a logo, and we know it's God of War Ragnarok.
The year 2021 for the release date, I think, is very, shall we say, ambitious.
Yeah.
For
3
that
years
title,
from the last one.
I mean, it's been a while, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm skeptical about that one, but if they pull it off, it'll be awesome. Like, there's not really much to say. It was like the most teaser-ass teaser. Like,
they Metroid. They Metroid for the fuck out of that thing. Like, it was a logo. That's all it was.
But I mean, it's basically the same thing Sony did. Like on PS4 launch day, they announced Uncharted 4 with a teaser. Let's hope this game doesn't end up getting rebooted like that game did. But I'm excited to see it. I'm glad it got it announced, and I'm gonna play that. So
I'm just
yes,
excited.
We should probably get on to the other stuff.
I'm just excited to like headlock Thor and probably like pop his head off with like Kratos' giant biceps. Like, I'm just like well prepared to fight the entire Norse pantheon. So I'm just like, fucking let's go. Throw like Thor at us, throw fucking Odin at us. Like, let's just go.
So
I've been waiting since that God of War teaser at the end of the original when Thor just shows up. I'm like, we're ready to go.
You know, I loved I love the first God of War. And getting to talk to Cory Barlog about his thought process into kind of reshaping Kratos as this figure full of regret was still probably one of my all-time video game highlights. So I've got a lot of fond memories of that game. That being said, I agree with I think 2021 is ambitious for this, especially since all we saw was a logo and that's it.
Technically, the game doesn't have a title. Sony Santa Monica put out a statement saying that the game's title isn't God of War Ragnarok.
Oh, well, there you go. So,
like some people were thinking, it's officially known as a new game in the God of War series.
I hope they call it the Untitled God of War game. That's what they need to call it.
Punk.
Untitled Kratos game.
The next entry in the God of War connected universe.
the God of War cinematic universe. So did we want to talk about, looks like there were some people in chat who wanted us to talk about pre-orders. So
I think we can say fuck it and do both. If we go 10 minutes over,
I'm fine with it. Yeah, I'm fine.
Whatever.
So how about them pre-orders? So yeah, that was a whole thing. So we didn't get any information about actual pre-orders during the conference itself, but luckily, Daddy Jeff was there on Twitter to take care of us.
Thanks God, Jeff Keighley.
And fucking like so you know,
So fucking weird.
this is just the strangest fucking thing. Okay, so Jeff gets on Twitter and he says,
To be clear, we're talking about Jeff
Keighley, not
me.
Jeff, not podcast Jeff.
Jeff, this is all your fault.
So pre-orders will open tomorrow, right? That's what he says. Tomorrow being today. And all of a sudden, well, wait. I am hearing that some retailers might open pre-orders today. Just be ready. And then, like, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes later, out of fucking nowhere, Walmart's like, hey, here's some PS5 pre-orders. And everybody's like, what the fuck? And so there's this mad rush. And then 30 minutes later, GameStop's like, you know what? Here's some PS5 pre-orders. And
Walking only.
By the way, at this point, Sony has not sent out any of those emails saying, be the first ones to pre-order PS5 by
So I got a funny story about that.
Well, hold on, real quick.
I got a funny story about that.
Real quick. So then Best Buy's like, fuck it, we're doing pre-orders. Let's do pre-orders. The website completely gets it's the most fucked up I have ever seen a retail website get. And then Amazon Amazon was like, you know what? Or Wario64 on Twitter was like, Amazon's going to go live with pre-orders at midnight, right? The pre-order link leaked 20 minutes early, and within a minute, everything on Amazon was sold out. And so people logged on to Amazon at midnight to go pre-order the PS5, and it was already fucking gone. Meanwhile, people are like, Microsoft's just eating this up, right? Like they literally threw the best shade I've ever seen today when they tweeted out, we will let you know exactly when pre-orders are gonna be available. In parentheses, it was great. Whoever's running the Xbox social media account for the past month has just been firing on all fucking cylinders.
Okay, but Xbox knows the same shit's gonna happen, right?
But at least they're preparing people.
Somebody's gonna. Here's the thing. I think
it's gonna leak. It's gonna blow up. It's gonna just.
Somebody's gonna. What happened basically is Walmart pulled the trigger early, and then everybody else rushed to get it up because Walmart is a big retailer, and I'm worried the same is going to happen, even if there is a set time for Xbox. I hope it doesn't.
Well,
I hope it goes well for people.
3080 today.
It will.
The 3080. Okay,
because it's not about Microsoft. It's not about Microsoft. It's about the storefronts crashing from the load of people.
Yeah.
So the fact that we know what time they exactly go up, it's just like the 3080. We knew 9 o'clock, but it didn't matter, or EST. But that's actually going to make it worse because now everyone, instead of only the people that saw the tweet that it's up, it's now everybody all at once.
But
they all have it on their browser already right now.
So,
and they're just
but here's the thing, though, guys. Here's the thing. I know for a fact, and I don't know what it is for Walmart. I know for a fact that Amazon has to ask permission. They have to get the okay from these companies before they actually open pre-orders. Is that the same? Is that the case with Walmart and Target and GameStop as well?
I don't know.
They don't care.
No,
they don't care. It's too hot. It was too hot of an item. They didn't care. So I want to mention those special open early pre-order thing.
Oh my god, it's so good.
So
I didn't get it.
I was extraordinarily lucky that I happened to see the Wario tweet about Targets going up immediately. I have no idea how it got through, but I got a pre-order.
So did I.
And so I was shocked by that because I had to type in all my information and everything on the to log in and everything. I'm like, there's no way this is gonna work, but it worked. I got an email at midnight last night from Sony. Hey, you've been selected to be one of the first to pre-order the PlayStation 5.
Great.
Late.
You can pre-order it. You can pre-order it on Friday, and they sent me a custom link. And here's the funniest part: I can't even give it to somebody that might have missed out on a pre-order because I got mine pre-ordered. I'm not going to bother with multiple pre-orders. It's linked to my PSN account. If I give it to somebody else, it could hurt my PSN account.
That's so fucking dumb.
Wow.
So it's so stupid. Like I have a couple friends that I would happily just be like, hey, just use my link. But nope, it's linked to your PSN, so you can't even share
That's
it.
so stupid.
I mean, Walmart was kind of doing a stupid thing. I got very, very lucky, and I saw one of Wario's original tweets that said Walmart still has systems up, and I jumped on that shit, wasn't expecting to get it. It declined my debit card at first, because I never shopped at Walmart in my life, and my debit card was like, what is this $536 that you're spending? And I was like, no! And I had to use another card, but I got it, and I've been literally checking my phone every 30 minutes, making sure they don't cancel it.
So,
but what Walmart was doing, they were canceling orders that had ordered more than one.
That's good anyway.
No,
so,
it's good. But also, imagine if you're not working, but your friend is,
right?
And your friend's like, "Hey, I can pay you to get this for
That's
me."
true.
And you order it, and then all of a sudden, both of your orders are canceled. Which, yes, it is part of a good thing because that means Walmart was on top of scalpers, which is surprisingly good. I'm all down for it. Make sure we actually get a chance to get it. But if you were getting some,
which
to
is
say,
better
hey,
than any of these 3080 pre-orders today.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Oh god. But it's like, imagine if you're a parent and you're getting one for you and one for your kid, or your friend's working and you're getting one for them. Well, now both of your orders are canceled.
So
because Walmart thinks that you're scalping when you're just being a nice person or getting one for your kid for Christmas or one for yourself.
So Sarah mentioned something that I think needs to be touched on, and I'm reassured by it. So I got my pre-order on Target, and I was trying to get a second pre-order somewhere else because I was afraid it might get canceled, but today Walmart and Target opened up more pre-orders, which gives me a lot more confidence that
same. I feel a lot better.
Yeah, I feel a lot better with that now because I don't need to try to bust my ass to get a backup pre-order, because if Target and Walmart are like, hey, we got more pre-orders, then that tells me we're probably okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good thing.
Relieved.
Yeah, like Finn, what about you, man? Did you get your PS5 pre-order in? No.
I tried everywhere, and then I also failed to get a 3080 today, and it's just been very sad. 24 hours.
But you're going to be
Is that why you're so sad, Finn?
You're going to be a dad soon.
Yeah.
You got that baby pre-order locked
That's
in.
good. The baby pre-order is locked in.
And you can't cancel that.
You got that. Finn and I are going to start an SDGC, a new SDGC podcast about, and we're going to talk about being a dad, and it's going to call Dual Daddies. It's going to be Finn and John dual daddies. And dual daddies.
You might want to workshop that name a little bit.
No, it's good. No, it's good. It's good. It's good.
We're going to get all kinds of great feedback.
It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be fantastic.
But see, the problem is, that's why I got to lock these things in now this holiday, because come March, I can't justify next gen. But if I get it now, I already have it. What's the
You're not
problem?
going to have time to play games.
Yeah, I think it's like,
so let me enjoy my launch game.
Dude, as somebody who has a 12-year-old and raised an infant, I find it hilarious that you think you're going to have time for video games when that kid comes. It's that's rich. But do we anything else on PlayStation before we hit Monster Hunter real quick? Justin.
You know what? Let's go to Monster Hunter. There's more we could talk about, but let's just go to Monster Hunter because
Silent Hill, Sony. Come on.
I don't think it's real.
Some people
to me.
You know what I saw on Twitter
today?
I
don't believe in Konami.
Donnie on Twitter, Donnie said some people believe in the Tooth Fairy, some people believe in Santa Claus, and some people believe in Silent Hill on PS5.
Ouch. Ouch.
That's so good.
Listen, where did that Dead by Daylight collab come from? There has to be something.
That
might just come out of nowhere.
Jeff just said something in chat. Do you guys remember when that website said that Microsoft paid like $1 billion for the Silent Hill IP?
And just
$3 billion. $3 billion.
Jesus Christ. I love Silent Hill, but come on.
I don't think
hope. I will hold that hope.
All the Xbox, I remember that. All the Xbox fanboys were like, "Suck it, PlayStation owners," and it's like, What, guys? Microsoft isn't paying $3 billion for the Silent Hill IP. Like, come on! Like, and even if they did, like, it's not some kind of huge own or anything. I mean, I like Silent Hill, but
that's not a good investment.
Yeah, like
let them fucking have it.
$3 billion.
Wow, the seething hate I feel.
No, I love
hurts.
Silent Hill 2. It's one of the greatest horror games of all time, but
it hurts.
it's not worth $3 billion. It's like
I know
Dr.
it's
Evil.
$3
It's
billion.
like $3 billion.
Like, I'm sorry, that's just that's my favorite BS rumor ever.
Yeah.
Because, like, the site that posted it, like, usually at least, like, vets their stuff better. And, like, that one actually gained traction. And it's like, do you guys know how money works? Do you know, like, how many copies the Silent Hill games have sold? Like, it's the...
There's a reason. There's a reason.
It's one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
There's a reason the only Silent Hill game we've had since Homecoming is that Book of Shadows or whatever it was called for Vita.
Oh, please don't mind me of that. I got that for
Shadows.
Christmas and was disappointed in like
That's
10 minutes.
really, really depressing.
Just
All right, so
Sad.
we'll close out the night with a little Monster Hunter talk. So we had a partner direct mini tonight, which what is interesting? What's interesting about this is that they opened it up by saying they said they're going to have more this year, which I think is interesting. One thing that I before we get into Monster Hunter, one thing that I was expecting to be there that was not was the fact that I am confident that Bravely Default 2 is getting delayed into next year. Like I don't think I think the writing's on the wall for that one. And maybe we'll hear it next week at TGS. Who knows?
But remember we were waffling on Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Did you have a bet with Agnello?
And I won that bet.
Because they held that right till the end.
I was starting to sweat a little bit on that one. I was like, oh man, like Anthony. But shout out to Anthony, by the way. We need to have him back on. But yeah, no, I was expecting Bravely Default to be delayed, and I'm confident it will be. I'm just surprised we didn't hear it here today. But Monster Hunter, a brand new Switch exclusive Monster Hunter Rise, and I'll tell you what, it looks fucking impressive. It looks really good, and the combat looks much faster and snappier than what we're used to from traditional Monster Hunter games. And it's running on the RE engine, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, which is even more impressive because
that's really cool.
The Resident Evil team has gone on record saying that they tried to get the RE engine working on Switch to get Resident Evil 7 on Switch.
That's why they had to stream it.
And they couldn't do it. They were like, we just couldn't get it to work on a cartridge. So the fact they got it to work with Monster Hunter has really good repercussions for every other Capcom game going forward to maybe be running on the Switch. If they get something like Monster Hunter going, that means they must have spent time working on the engine to work on the Switch hardware.
The thing that's also exciting about that is so far RE Engine has only really worked with like strong photogrammetry and asset scanning pipelines for very realistic looking games. Like the Resident Evil games have been using scanned actors, scanned models. I mean, it looks phenomenal for those games, but you know, people were wondering if these games could even work for more stylized games. And, you know, a Switch Monster Hunter, it's very colorful, really good effects. It's got monsters like it shows that now RE Engine is at a point where it can be more flexible for a lot more varied types of games than just like really realistic looking.
Have we seen a game on RE Engine with like this big of like areas and stuff like that? I know Resident Evil's pretty narrow.
Devil May Cry 5 ran on the RE.
Yeah, that's
engine,
right.
But
it was still corridors
still
and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
this is
they also still
these
use
are the biggest
actors.
areas. Yeah.
So
these are the biggest areas.
Went from anime.
Now this is
this
is the first game on Switch that's running on RE Engine, right? Like this is the first one.
Not counting Resident Evil 7 streaming on the Switch.
So like you said, Sarah, this sets a great precedent for Switch. And
because that means Capcom wanted to get to work. They put a team saying, get this to work on the Switch.
Well, and the
team did it.
What's cool about this is the fact that Monster Hunter World brought, like, Monster Hunter was always popular, but it wasn't. It was also kind of niche at the same time. Monster Hunter World brought that franchise to a much broader audience, and it ended up it was like Capcom's best-selling game ever.
I think close to it.
If I'm not mistaken, I think
it's well over 10 million copies.
Yeah,
it might even be
like Monster Hunter is one of their premier franchises now, and the way that we know software sells on the Nintendo Switch, this game's gonna be fucking huge. And I have a theory: the release date for Monster Hunter Rise is March 26th. I think that's the day we're going to see the Switch Pro release.
I thought you were going to say that's when we see the Monster Hunter movie from with Mila Jovovich.
Oh God,
no.
Both of those are pretty.
I saw that. I saw that Sarah had taken her headphones off. Sarah, what I was saying is that the release date for Monster Hunter Rise is March 26th. I think that's the day we're going to see the Switch Pro launch. I think that would be a great title.
Oh yeah.
To launch.
Especially for the RE engine to like show what the engine can do on a handheld system.
Is there
100%?
Is there actually going to be a Switch Pro?
There will be. There's too much. There's too much smoke around.
Bloomberg. It's actually like a Bloomberg report on this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just came out like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Where Nintendo
and they said they have.
If Schreier says it, I believe
developer quote. And they have multiple developer quotes on this one. Like this is one that seems extremely reliable.
And we also have to talk about Monster Hunter Stories 2, which looks fucking delightful. That just looks that looks like a Finn game and a John game. Like I like Monster Hunter, but Monster Hunter Stories 2 looks like exactly my fucking shit. What about you, Finn?
So this first Stories didn't really grab me, but the Switch one looked nice, so I'll be giving it a try, because if there's one thing I've learned about the Switch generation, it's that every Switch version of a game is the best version.
That's true.
Unless your name is Zelda.
That's
almost got you to say that's true.
Ooh, no, yeah, but yeah, no, you failed. You failed. But yeah, no, I was
sorry. What's the difference between Stories and regular Monster
So
Hunter?
Stories is an actual JRPG, like it's a turn-based,
it's like anime style. I think there's an actual anime based off of it that they just recently put out. Like it's more like a cute chibi Monster Hunter.
What I thought was great about this though is that the new signature monster in Monster Hunter Rise, what was it called? Magmalamo or something like that. But I can't remember the name. But it was like Magmalamo or something like that. But they said we can't show you the whole monster because we don't want to. And then like 5 minutes later, they're like, here's the amiibo from Magmalamo, and it's the whole fucking monster. And I was like, what? I was like, well, wait a minute. Like what you just said?
I missed that.
I was like, you just said that you can't fucking show that. Okay, whatever. That's one way to do it. But like, obviously it wasn't intentional, but I just thought that was fucking hilarious. But if you follow Nick on Twitter, I loved watching Nick's reactions to Monster Hunter. Like, 'cause we all know Nick loves Monster Hunter. But yeah, no, this looks great. And I think it's something that it looks like because I know that a lot of longtime Monster Hunter fans were a little disappointed with some of the new interpretations on the game that World did. And I think Monster Hunter Rise looks like a nice compromise between the old school, Monster Hunter Generation style play and the new kind of bigger open areas that Monster Hunter World showed. The I can't remember what it's called, but the grappling bug that you just grapple through the air, that looks fucking cool. I cannot, and there's a lot of verticality in this game, I noticed, which I think is really fucking cool. Sarah, you look like you had something to say.
No, this is honestly the first Monster Hunter that had me even slightly intrigued. I was working at GameStop back when World came out, and all of my coworkers jumped into World like that. Like they were just like pounced on it and were super into it. But everything I saw from it, it just wasn't clicking with me. Like I just couldn't get into it. But the one that they Rise, especially since the combat looked more streamlined and didn't look like the weird and I hate to call it Souls-ish, but to me the past Monster Hunter games have almost looked like it has Souls-ish combat to me. This one actually looks more streamlined and looks a lot more fun, especially for something on the Switch. And partially I just want to play it because I want to see how the RE engine runs on the Switch.
Yeah, and
I want to see what they got it to do to be like, oh hey, here's this big major photogrammetry engine that we got running on this tiny little like rectangle of a handheld. Also, how hot is it going to make my Switch?
yeah, like I wonder how I wonder what
Like-
the RE engine is going to do to the Switch's battery life.
Oh yeah, that's also a really big thing
that's
too. I mean,
yeah.
with the new batteries, it's different. But how are they going to put that in with like the really big, intense new Switch that's coming out? Just honestly, and Monster Hunter has never grabbed me, but this one actually had me slightly interested to want to see how it is, and especially since I can play it on the go. But also, since I know Monster Hunter is meant to be played with friends, is it going to be even worth it to play this like whenever we're allowed to go on planes again, even though we are now? Like, is it going to be worth it for me to play this single player?
I think so.
Instead of like finding friends to like run me through a monster hunt.
Well, if I remember correctly, the matchmaking in Monster Hunter World wasn't great. And Jeff, you were a Monster Hunter World guy, right? Like you.
Yeah, surprisingly, I tried. So my only previous experience with Monster Hunter, I bought 3 Ultimate or whatever on the Wii U because I had a Wii U and I was like, I need something to fucking play on it. I didn't know it was a 3DS game, so my initial impression when I booted a 3DS game up on my 50-inch TV was like, wow, this looks like shit. It was so obtuse. I just couldn't figure out what the hell to do. I spent like an hour and dropped it. So I bought World, not really expecting to stick with it. But yeah, I loved World. It's still a little complicated, but it did a good enough job of onboarding me and slowly teaching me certain things and stuff like that. So I'm a Monster Hunter fan now. I'd give this one a shot for sure.
And Justin, you were a Monster Hunter World guy as well, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so World was actually my first Monster Hunter game, and I loved it. I got really into it back at launch. I tried playing Iceborne recently, and I completely forgot how to play Monster Hunter, so that didn't go too well. But I'm definitely going to check out Rise because it does seem like it's bringing in some of the stuff that World left behind. And sorry, my cat's knocking stuff over.
We angered Zeke.
He's just big and fluffy and not paying any attention. But yeah, so I'm definitely going to check out. I'm definitely going to check out Rise to see how it differs from World and kind of see maybe like what Capcom's planning for the future of Monster Hunter.
So, Finn, are you a Monster Hunter guy at all? Yeah.
I mean, look, I've been playing it since the PS2, but it's never really been like my jam. Like, I know people that go hard. For me, it's a game I play until I bounce off and then I never return. But I always try the new entries because each time they get a little more streamlined, they get a little more user friendly, they get a little more fun for me. And so I'm definitely going to try Monster Hunter Rise because that one actually looked more fun than normal, but it's never what I would call one of my like top franchises.
So we are pushing a little past 10:30 here. And we should probably start wrapping up. But what a fucking meaty episode! It's so nice to have actual video game news to talk about on this podcast. A few quick housekeeping items here. So next week we have a very cool guest coming, Sissy Jones, who is a prolific voice actress, and also if you played Firewatch, you heard her as the voice of Delilah. In Firewatch, which is one of my favorite games from this generation. Sissy will be joining us on the podcast next week, and she actually tried to get the other voice actor from Firewatch, and she wasn't able to. But yeah, no. So Sissy will be joining us, which is really cool, and also not making any promises, but we have indeed, or I have indeed reached out to Brie Larson to see if she's willing to come on the podcast.
You got to shoot your shot.
Yeah. So, I actually know somebody who has contact with her. And so we'll see. Not making any promises, but I fuck it, shoot my shot. I want to see if I can actually get Brie Larson on here. So that would be pretty fucking wild. So no promises on that one, but I'm gonna I'm gonna do my best. That would be fucking nuts. To actually get Brie Larson on here. But yeah, we'll see. Sarah, I got to tell you, for your first podcast ever, like you fucking crushed it. You did great. Like you shouldn't have been nervous at all. Yeah, no, it was an absolute pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Where can people find you on Twitter?
So people can find me at my Twitter handle. It's at SARAH, which is how you spell my name, and then of Mars, just all one word, MARS. You can also find me on my blog, which I said at the beginning is out here in this open space at Blogger. I just recently did a piece on Control's very weirdly stated accessibility features that Jeff actually contributed to, which I was very thankful for. And also, I'm doing this for Derek, because me and Derek talked about this the other day. Atlas, if you are listening, please give us another trauma center for the Switch. That's all we ask. You teased us back in 2008. You teased us with a weird E3 video that never hit the internet that I had to find because someone else videotaped it. I'm asking for me and Derek just for the two of us. You don't need to release it to anybody else. Just give it to us. That is all we ask. We just want some weird, creepy anime doctor drama. And plus, it's the Switch. Like, that would be so much fun.
I'll take any game on the Switch. Like I just, the more games on the Switch, the better, in my opinion.
Finn said it best. The Switch version of a game is always the best.
Finn is correct on that one. Like I've got to hand it to Finn. That's the quote of the night right there, Finn. So good job, Finn. You get the play of the game on that one.
But yeah, thank you so much for having me. It meant so much to even be asked to do this.
Of course.
So thank you guys so much.
Absolutely. Again, don't forget to shit, I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the podcast. Tomorrow I will be streaming the alpha build of Destiny's Sword by Two Dogs Games from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, I am in the game. I am one of the characters in the game, and you'll hear my voice in the game too, which is pretty cool. It is basically it's a tactical war game, but focused on the rigors of combat and the effect of combat on mental health. I've done a lot of consulting on the game, and I'm very, very excited to present it to you all tomorrow. So tune in at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, and I will be streaming the alpha build of Destiny's Sword along with the developer itself. They're great people, and I really hope that you like what we're going to show you. Saturday on Spawn on Me's channel, I will be streaming in support of Spawn for Good to get the vote out from 8 p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern. I don't know what I'm going to stream yet. I will take requests. We're not going to do anything violent or anything. So we can kind of keep it light. Maybe I'll stream some Mario Galaxy or even, hey Reb, maybe I'll stream some Mario Sunshine. Who knows? But tune in for that at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. And does anybody have anything else they want to get off their chest before we get off here? Jeff.
We said it earlier. I want to say it again. Fuck J.K. Rowling.
Fuck J.K. Rowling.
Yep.
Trans rights
Fuck
are
J.K. Rowling.
Trans
with
rights
that
are
100%.
trans rights are humans right or human rights. Sorry, I've had like 3 whiskeys now, so I'm a little fucked up. But
Was I the only one drinking water today?
oh no, Justin always drinks
I
water.
am always drinking water.
Okay.
You fucking hydrated dork.
Justin is hydrated as fuck. And also a very special shout out to Reb in chat. We miss you, Reb. You're great. You're the best. All right, everybody else, take care of yourselves. Remember, kindness costs nothing. We'll see you guys next week.